Three, two, one.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the coffee stream. Today, I'm just going to do some live lurb. I swear I know English. There we go. And good morning, Sydney and Dark Little Voices. And it's a self-serve coffee place. You can have whatever coffee you want. It's free. Just go drink the coffee. So good morning, everyone. I hope more people will join us later as I keep going. I just need to do one more thing and I'll be ready to live read with you guys. Just 1 second. Enjoy the fancy dancy music. I think there's fancy dancy music. I hope there's fancy dancy music. Yeah, okay. Close that. Just got too many tabs open right now. Alright. So, I'm going to start with some two-sentence horrors stories, and then you guys can kind of tell me what kind of stories you might be wanting me to read for you, and I can either find some that I have already or do some digging for you guys. I'm just going to try to make sure they stay a little short, nothing too long, because no one wants to hear me read stories too long, because it gets too much after a while. There we go. Alright. I would tell you guys to go check out my guests, but I don't have any today, so it's just me all by myself. Nobody else. Alright. I might say these ones a couple times because I'm actually going to be recording the two-sentence horrors as well, because I need them anyways, and it works out. And then the rest of the stories I won't be recording. It's just going to be these. And it's quite a few, but they're fast. Alright. On such a hot day, it's nice to get some pool time with the kiddos, she writes for her followers, along with some cute pics. It wasn't until the young mother finished her final edits and added some filters that she finally looked up to see her tiny body in a pink swimsuit. Blah, one more time. Almost had it. It isn't until the young mother finishes her final edits and adds some filters that she finally looks up to see a tiny body in a pink swimming suit floating face down. And that one was actually based off of something that happened to someone. Of course, it wasn't that far, but apparently she caught her child face down. Got her in time, but Just a horrible thing to think of. Just wrong date. There we go. There we go. Sorry if you hear lots of clicking and clacking as I type things. Okay. Alright, next story. Eager to try out my super strength, I punched the wall full force. I didn't realize it wouldn't come with super durability. Oof. Eager to try out my super strength, I punched the wall full force. I didn't realize it wouldn't come with super durability. That would suck. Our bodies aren't meant. Certain things we can do to our bodies may stuck. Dark little voices stuffs people's money into my pocket. Don't believe the lies. It's still $6 a cup. Absolutely. And apparently I type more gentle than Lace Bucaria types. My keyboard's also a quieter keyboard too. Though I won't lie, I do want a mechanical keyboard real bad. I do like the clicky clackies. Can't lie. I really love the clicky clackies. Oh, and please remember to like, share, and also leave me comments. I love comments. Super strength. Is what I'm gonna call this one. It's by this guy. Okay, that one's done. Yeah, I've heard Lace Bucaria typing though. She's quite loud, but I mean, everyone's keyboard's so different. And it also depends on your mic placements. Mine's got a little dome around it, so it does help you guys not hear as much. Alright. And remember, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask me if you're interested in me answering any questions for you guys. It's just right here, right after the right turn, the hitchhiker said, gesturing towards the road bordered. Nah. It's just here, right after the right turn, the hitchhiker said, gesturing towards the road. Ugh. Hold on, I can speak. It's just here, right after the right turn. Hold on, there's a car. I don't know if you guys can completely hear it, but I can. This is the problem when you live on a... Oh, I know. I just like giving her crap. Yeah, it's fair. I mean, she did try to take over my stream a couple times. Yeah, let's try this again. It's just right here, right after the right turn, the hitchhiker said, gesturing towards the road. Yeah, hold on. Gotta do it from there. The hitchhiker said, gesturing towards the road bordered by dense, looming trees. Upon reaching her desired stop, My blood ran cold as I realized she had vanished from my car, and instead I found her remains hidden in the bushes, her head 10 feet away from the body. A white, not a lady in white, like, those are specific, but... Lady in white is normally a lady who kills her own children, and then gets vengeful. Does remind me of a Supernatural episode, though. Which is why I like it. Let's clean up the audio real quick. Nope, wrong date again. Keep trying to type in the wrong date over and over again. Okay. Got that one. Thank you, Dark Little Voices, for sharing the stream. Hopefully we get a couple of people here, and anyone who has questions can ask them as well. I'm thinking about moving the coffee streams to being a bit later in the day. I think they're just a bit too early for everyone. I'm thinking of things, trying to figure things out. I was told that driving? No, wrong word. I was told diving to extreme depths. I was told diving to extreme depths is dangerous, but no one mentioned how exhausting it is. I'm gonna do that one more time. I was told that diving to extreme depths is dangerous, but no one mentioned how exhausting it is. I'm 400 feet down and so giddy I'm 400 feet down and so giddy it almost feels like being drunk. Thank you as well, Sydney. Is my hair purple in real life? No. I wish the upkeep on that is too much, to be honest. I'm actually naturally blonde. I picked my avatar to be things I wish I either had or she's close to me with some idealism to it. I totally would have either purple or blue hair if I had the choice and didn't have to upkeep. Like one time dye and be done. That would be awesome. I'm just gonna call this diving. July the 29th of 2023. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Yes, understandable. Yeah, I have a coworker, she has her ends blue and she's added actually purple to it recently. But I mean, it's just the end, so it's not as difficult for upkeep on that stuff. But yeah, no. It is long though. I do have long hair. It's longer than what the avatar shows. Okay, so One day it'll be a thing, but I'll be too old to enjoy it. I don't care how old I am. If they're able to make it so you can change your hair at will and not have to do all the upkeep for it, I'm all for it. I don't care if I'm 60 or 70 years old. I'm going to do that. Because then I can change my hair whenever I want. Or have it a different color. It'd be really cool. I quickly pushed... Blah, blah. Hold on. I quickly pushed down my sleeve when a I quickly pushed down my sleeve with a horrified expression after the man had asked me for my number. It was only when I saw his confused expression that I realized he was asking for my phone number. Actually, I've seen, like, older grandmas and stuff now who have, like, dyed hair. It's so cool. I love it. Alright. Delete that one. Next one. I got a tattoo of a little smiley face on my right shoulder yesterday. When I woke up this morning, I found it on my left shoulder, now winking at me. I'm gonna do that one more time. I got a tattoo of a little smiling face on my right shoulder yesterday. When I woke up this morning... When I woke up this morning, I found it on my left shoulder, now winking at me. There we go. There we go. Come on. Nope. There we go. Okay, we got that one. Anything you guys want me specifically to read after this? I have hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more to read. So at the gates of hell, Satan told me, due to the nature of your sins, instead of going to hell, you'll get Oh, I also had this on wrong anyways. Hold on. Oh, resurrected. Got it. After... At the gates of hell, Satan told me, due to the nature of your sins, instead of going to hell, you'll get resurrected. You'll get resurrected back to life. I was overjoyed until I woke up inside my coffin. Oops. I hit something that I didn't mean to hit. Shoot. sec. There we go. Fixed it. Alright. 8 more. No! Well, the funny part is I do have more than that, but I haven't been okay to read them yet, so they don't get read until I get the okay. Okay, I need to make that. And oh, hold on. Here it is. Alright. Okay. Problem when you accidentally hit the wrong button, some things get reset to where you didn't want them to be. My bad. Doing a live horror movie reviews and or stories you've read? Like, you want me to like review some of the stories I've read over time? Because I've read a lot of stories, Dark Little Voices. Like, a lot of stories. My girl never liked my gifts. So, for our 10th anniversary, I simply asked what she wants. To go back to my husband and children, she cried. I mean, that's fair. I can't really blame her. Yeah, fair. I could comment on these ones that I'm reading right now, so... Or at least tell you why I picked them as well, too. So, I liked the... For this one, I liked how they you were thinking one way and then it switched your mind. So, and also the thought of a woman being, with a guy for like 10 years that she doesn't want to be with, and he keeps giving her gifts every 10 years, but he's taken her away from her children and her husband. Yeah, it puts a picture in my head of some woman locked in like a basement somewhere and just wants to be, let go. And that's all she wants. And he just doesn't get it because he doesn't understand. It's kind of where my mind went with that one. So hopefully that's what you're asking for. I mean, I can do that. I can explain why and kind of the idea of where my brain went when I read these things. And sometimes I just pick them because I like how they read and I don't go any further than that. Is the honest truth. But they're also very short and sweet. So. Alright. So, I watched my friend take her schizophrenic pills. My face turned pale white when I realized this is why she always ignores me after she takes her pills. Do that one more time. I watched my friend take her schizophrenic pills. My face turned pale white. My face turned pale white when I realized this is why she ignores me. Nope, I read that wrong. My face turned pale white when I realized this is why she always ignores me after she takes her pills. So if you see this one, so does that mean they're real, or your imaginary friends have real personalities? Like, this put a lot of questions in my head when I read it. I was like, I just like this one. They've been doing a lot more stuff about schizophrenia or seeing people that aren't there. I've been noticing on the thread. So I have been noticing themes every so often that kind of happen. Nope, her pills. That's what I want to name this. Hey, September Dragon Audio, welcome. Yeah, and like I've been noticing like themes where you see like kind of there's one they like to do a lot of rabies. I've noticed rabies kind of comes and goes every once in a while. Mom, this candy doesn't taste like caramel at all, said the little girl. Don't worry, sweetie. I promise the taste will come soon, but we have to eat Don't worry, sweetie. I promise the taste will come soon, but we have to eat them all very fast, said the woman while peeking through the window, watching the soldiers. Hold on, I gotta find where it was again. Said the woman while peeking through the window, watching the soldiers ride into town. There we go. So this one, I won't lie, I'm not sure if it's poison that they're eating or if they're eating all like their valuables, like rings and stuff like that. That one I'm not 100% sure on. So I think they're eating their valuables. At first I really did think it was poison, because that would make sense to me. But people do eat their valuables too before they get captured, so that they'll still have them in the end. accidentally say something twice. Good. Alright. We're getting there. Yeah, that's kind of where I felt like kind of was going with that one too when I read it. That it's maybe kind of a World War II prison vibes, or World War II when people were coming for other people. I can't say a certain word on YouTube, otherwise I get really upsetty. There are certain words that you don't get away with on YouTube, and one of those being what World War II was pretty much about. Oh yeah, this one got me. Took me a minute to figure this one out when I read it. After the crazy homeless guy bit me on my last patrol, I got all the necessary injections as precaution. No, I'm gonna do that one more time. After the crazy homeless bit me on my last patrol, I got all the necessary injections as a precaution. But I'm still experiencing all these weird symptoms that I can't explain. One more time. After the crazy homeless guy bit me on my last patrol, I got all the necessary injections as a precaution. But I still am experiencing all these weird symptoms that I can't explain. Like, why does sunlight burn so much? And why do I feel so sick every time I go to church? Remember, don't let the crazy homeless guy bite you. Otherwise, he might infect you with vampirism. Because that one's about vampirism. You don't have any injections to stop you from getting vampirism. I'm sorry, guys. I also just heard my cat run by my room and she runs so weird. Okay, we're getting there. September Dragon. I'll be fine. I have dragon skin. This is true. And Dark Little Voices says, I mean, that's what steaks are for, after all. Steak. I mean, if you get a blade enough steak, it's got the blood in it for you. Alright. I shook my son roughly as I said, I've explained this to you 1,000,000 times. Why don't we talk to strangers? Because my real mom and dad might find me, the boy replied sullenly. No, I gotta re-say that one again. The boy replied sullenly. No, one more time. The boy replied sullenly. There we go. I mean, that was a little like self-explanatory. I mean, you normally don't talk to strangers because, you know, you're not supposed to talk to strangers. Oops. Wrong button. So many buttons. I don't need all these buttons. The audacity of this thing to have so many buttons. a little more that way. There we go. Yeah, that one's a good one. I mean, it's a good one of, I don't talk to strangers, so your real parents don't find you. Yep. There's some good ones I found today and a couple weeks ago, too. These are the ones from today, and I'm going to double check no one else replied to me, so I don't have any more in limbo. This one's really good. Just wait, guys. I was elated. I was elated when the jury said not guilty. Now I can look her family dead in the eyes and say that it was me the whole time, and there's nothing they can do about it. We're gonna do it one more time. I was elated when the jury said not guilty. Now I can look her family dead in the eyes and say that it was me the whole time, and there's nothing they can do about it. I wanted to go a little more. Okay, look, if the stranger has coffee and breath, I'm going to talk to that stranger and steal their coffee and their breakfast. Probably both. Most likely both. And some I know are just going to be fun to read when I read them. This is one of those. Also kind of sort of feels like kind of what what's his face OJ did. He wrote that book of I didn't do it or whatever, and then lost all rights to the book. So the family of his wife bought the right, like took the rights from him and then renamed it I Did It, but they like kept in the very corner said I didn't or something, so it technically says I didn't do it, but they redid it so it basically says I did it. Yeah, it was some sweet revenge actually for that family, I think. I'm gonna do that name. Okay, we got one more, then I'm just gonna double check that no one else has replied and that I don't have more for us. Dark Love Voices from September Dragon's Audio's responses, then definitely take it and acquire their valuables. Alright. Actually, I got a little bit of an interesting story after this one that I can tell you guys about. As a woman teaching English in a maximum security prison, they warned me not to wear open-toed shoes on my visits. When the riot started, Hold on. One more time. When the riot started, I didn't think my shoes mattered. As the convicts wasted no time in hurling me off to a cell, the hundreds in tow whooping and hollering wildly as the building went into lockdown. I wasn't sure if I was gonna take this one, to be honest, but thought it was an interesting one. Just need a second here to get this all up, and then I'll tell you the interesting thing that was in that sub, in this post. Sorry. All right. So. September Dragon Audio. I'm really easy to be tempted with food and coffee. That is fair. So, in this post, someone wrote down from them that this is creepy, but the opposite of what would likely happen. One of my high school math teachers taught in the highest security prison in Canada, and she said that most of the guys were so appreciative of what she was doing that if a fight broke out in the class or in the hall, that a bunch of guys would basically form a wall around her to make sure nobody got near her, which I just thought that was absolutely amazing. And okay, hold on. I've gotten a couple of yeses, so I'm just going to add them. We'll quickly narrate those as well, and then we'll go to something else. There's that one. And where's this one? Oh, there it is. Alright. So just let me do a little bit of fixing here, and then we'll read the last three that I have, and then we'll go to a different story. Again, if there is a specific type of story you'd like me to read, please tell me, or if you have any questions, please ask them, and I will answer them as well. Alright, last three here for you guys. Oh, I forgot to write down that I read that one. Okay. Alright. Hold on. Daddy, the other kids are going to be so jealous when they find out we're front row for the... Daddy, the other kids are going to be so jealous when they find out we get front row seats to the fireworks. The father smiled at his daughter, watching his final sunset, and tried to hold back his tears for his daughter's sake. Oops. The father smiled at his daughter, watching his final The father smiled at his daughter, watching his final sunset and trying to hold back his tears for his daughter's sake, as everyone around them rushed to their place in the bomb shelters that he wasn't able to afford. Alright, let me just get rid of that. Gonna leave the breath in for that one for once. Normally don't leave those in. Okay. This one was just, it was more sad than horror, but I don't always pick just horror ones. Because he wasn't able to afford anything to save him and his daughter, which is sad. But also the thought of the fact that he would have to pay for the bunker is a horror of its own, so alright. Send help. There's so many of us locked down here. No, we're gonna try that again. Send help. There's so many of us locked down here. The caller cried as I assured her I was coming. As I hung up, I heard her say, "But I never told you where we were." Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Watched way too much TV as a kid. I need that one. Alright, so getting the one send help. Second to last one, or yeah, last one, guys, after this one. The one after, yeah. Sorry, doing too many things. My brain is jumbled. I'll fix that in just a sec. Okay. Alright, close that. One more thing. I'm just gonna. There. Now let's get the right date on. Alright. Last one is. Okay. Just making sure I'm checking every time before I read another story that you guys have no more comments for me. Gotta double check that. Alright. The audience cheered me on as I wolfed down the last. I was gonna say 90. Hold on. The audience cheered me on as I wolfed down the. Hold on. Sorry. I can hear a car. And my mic's pretty good at picking it up for actual recordings. The audience cheered me on as I wolfed down the last of my 50 hot dogs and won the competition. I should be celebrating my victory, but I can't shake this irrational feeling of impending doom. And with that one, I just assumed he ate way too much food and was not going to end well. Our stomachs can only stretch so much. They stretch quite a bit, though. Quite surprisingly big, actually. Alright, and that is the last one of those, guys. So now, was there any stories that you kind of want me to read? Do you want me to read true or fiction or... Alright, we're gonna close that now. Nope. There we go. And we'll actually close this one as well. Perfect. This one's like... Okay, so I'll go with a true story then. Let me go look at my lovely spreadsheet that I have all my stories on. I have a problem. I closed one spreadsheet that has all my 2 sentences on it, and now I'm opening my spreadsheet with all my full-length stories on it. It's the best way of putting it. How about... Just looking over something kind of short. Not too long. Well, I've got a few here. I can do a creepy encounter. That should be fairly shorter. So let me go grab that. Where is it? Sorry, I always cough before I start reading just to make sure I've got nothing in my stupid throat. It's a subconscious thing until I realize I'm live. I'm like, all right, I should not do that. My bad. Lyft driver follows me onto campus by Annan 2884. This was a repost due to issues on my main account. I, 21 female, had just started applying for a college in my area, and I needed to go on campus to take a test for my classes. I had recently got into a car accident and my car was completely totaled, unfortunately. So that means I needed to use something else cheap and easy. Uber and Lyft are my go-tos in that sort of situation. However, unfortunately, Uber is the more expensive one between the two. In both apps, you're able to put up a profile picture to help the drivers identify you easier. I use this feature. This is important to remember as I'm white, but in the photo, I look a little more tan because of the lighting. Growing up, I've always been told to be wary and safe when I went out in public. With that in mind, I can remember the driver was an older gentleman in his 60s, I think. My apartment complex can be difficult to navigate since the GPS doesn't like to take you to the right buildings. I opt to use the text feature on the app to help the driver find my building. I opt to use the text feature on the app to help my driver find my building easier. He read it. Keep this in mind. Once he found me and I got in, he began the usual niceties you have when you meet a stranger. He asked me if I was Hispanic, to which I replied no, and that I'm white. He suddenly became quite talkative and started complimenting me a lot and for not getting upset. The ride was about 10 minutes, and with that time span, he asked me if I was married or had any kids, if I had a boyfriend, whether or not I lived alone, and if I had any pets. I'm typically very alert when I'm alone with someone, and this started setting off some bells in my head. I was vague and honest with my answers, which could have gotten me in trouble. Once our ride ended, he told me that since I was such a nice girl, he'd buy me my lunch. He gave me $20 and tried to continue talking to me while getting out of the car. I took the 20 because I truly needed it, and I was afraid to make him angry, but I wasn't interested in continuing the conversation with this guy. After I finished my test, my protractor pulled me aside and gave me a piece of paper with a phone number on it. Turns out, it was my Lyft driver's phone number. He tried to enter the building and talk to me while I was taking my test. Thankfully, my protractor had my back and had to get the campus police officer to escort him off the property since he wouldn't leave. I never saw him again. Unfortunately, I had already given him my good I never saw him again. Unfortunately, I had already given him a good rating, so I continued to get him on occasion. I always canceled the ride as soon as I realized it was him. I never reported it because I was afraid of causing waves, but if I get him again, I'm sure to report him. I'm not sure if it would hold up anymore since it was a few months ago. And that's everything. Yeah, she should report him. 100% should report him. That's creepy, and he also knows where she lives. That's the. I own my own vehicles, and by the time Lyft and Uber became a thing, I was already driving and didn't need them in any way, shape, or form. Cabs are already sketchy and always have been sketchy, but they do have to go through some extra training to be able to get a certain license that they need, while the Uber and Lyft drivers don't need it. So it's really almost anyone, as long as they have a good running car, can become one. And there's so many horror stories of terrible things these Lyft drivers and Uber drivers have done. It's just makes me so happy. I just refuse to go on them in any way, shape, or form. And just the fact that you tell them where you live, but you have to because you need the goddamn ride. I don't know. That's just creepy, just on its own when you put into context. Okay, and we can do a paranormal story next. Alright. A red light dot in my parents' backyard by Anonymous. This happened around 2003 in my parents' home. They had a big backyard that ended up in a small forest. Back then the neighborhood was very isolated, so it was a few streets and all surrounded by forest. One night, a red light dot appeared in the backyard. We saw it when we all... One night, a red light dot appeared in the backyard. We saw it when we were in the front porch, and my cousin was in the alley to the right of the house, looking at the backyard. We didn't dare to check it because it was super dark and we were scared kids, but we called the adults and they saw it too. The light was about 150 meters from our house. It looked as if it was on the ground and would slowly lift up a little and go back down. It stayed there the whole night. My parents were also confused and scared to go check. They joked about it being an uno entero. There were legends about a burial place where you see a light and it leads you to find gold. The light brings the spirit of who was buried. I think it was a firefly, but I was used to seeing those, and those would glow green or yellowish, not this strong red. I also would make sense for a bug to stay in the same place the whole night, and it also wouldn't make sense for a bug to stay in the same place the whole night and just hover slowly up and down in the same place. We decided that's what we wanted it to be, though. That it was somehow a red, super bright firefly walking up and down the same plant. We went to check the next day in the morning, and there was nothing that could have caused this. The area where we thought it was didn't have bushes or anything. It was a clear patch, and we didn't see anything. Then it appeared the next night. My parents are baffled. I remember several people from the neighborhood and other relatives that didn't live there came to see it, all coming up with theories. My cousin and I decided to go check, but after we had started walking down the alley, An owl scared us and we ran back for our lives. I remember a teenager also walked down there by getting too scared to continue. I think it may have appeared a night or two more until it didn't anymore and we never got an explanation. There are no lights in the backyard and there are no houses in the side that could have maybe caused the light to reflect or something shined in the ground. If you asked me today what it looked like, it was like these red lights that cyclists use on the bikes, but dimmer. At the time, though, I had nothing to compare it with. Our neighborhood was poor. People didn't have devices like that emitted light like that we do today, and it could be anything. Someone with a small radio, phone, laser light, or something. I still can't figure out what it was, and I just have to let it go every time I remember. Good morning, Interscare Wifey. Well, thank you, Sarah, for the, I don't normally get people going on my live stream to tell me it's okay if I read their story. That is funny. Let me go bring that up then. You actually just missed me reading a bunch. Hold on, I gotta find it. Oh, is it the surgery one? Was it the surgery one? Well, thank you so much for messaging me back on Reddit. I'll add you to the yes and quickly record it and get it up. As soon as it's live, I'll tell you this as well. I'll send you the link, but I'll message you that as well on Reddit, just so you know. It's all good. It's all good, Willow. And it was that one. Okay, I'll just mark that down real quick. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just reading stuff live. That's all I'm doing right now. So I did that on those. So let's do a glitch. I'll do this one. Everything's a miss. Is this one? No. Okay. Alright. So, I'm sorry, sir, but you don't exist. By Bango Shrank, I think. I just recently purchased my house, and my old washer and dryer wouldn't fit. Plus, they sucked, and my wife hated using them. So she sent me on a mission to buy a new set. I didn't do my research, and I'm standing in the Lowe's appliance department coming to grips with what I'm up against. My contractor neighbor walks up behind me. He helps me pick out the exact unit I'm going to purchase. I bought them, and then life goes weird for a few minutes. When I go get my truck with my two larger boxes, there stands my neighbor waiting for me. I thought he was waiting to help me load them, but he just looked at the boxes and said something like, "That's a gas dryer. We don't have gas." I bust his balls for a couple minutes about helping me pick the wrong units out, and it was a normal and interaction as I could have had. I went inside to do a return walk of shame on the items I literally never even left the parking lot. My neighborhood walked to his truck. I'm at the return counter. The girl behind the register asked for my name. I told her and handed her my receipt from 5 minutes prior while explaining the situation. Without even looking at me, she says again, "Name?" I tell her my name a second time, and she says nothing while typing into the computer. In comes my neighbor to the return desk with a gallon of paint. He waits in line behind me, saying nothing. The girl behind the register looks up at me and says, "Name, sir?" I tell her my name for the third time, pointing to the receipt on the counter, and try to explain the situation again. She types in the computer some more, and for what was probably a solid minute says nothing at all. Another girl at the return desk finishes another customer and comes over to help. The new girl says to me while they both stare at the computer screen, "Name?" The fourth time. I give both of my names. Without taking my eye off the screen, the new girl says, and I shit you not, "I'm sorry, sir, but you don't exist." I got a sort of lightheaded after she says that because I was already thinking how strange this was. I said back, "I don't exist," or "Am I not in your system?" Without answering, the second girl said to my neighbor, "Sir, I can help you over here," and moves to the next register as my neighbor walks past me, and without another word to me, returns his paint and walks out the door. Then, almost as if nothing weird had happened, the first girl says, my name, "Here's your return. You'll have to purchase a new one while we refund you for this one you mistakenly purchased." Without even going back to the appliances, there behind me stands a guy with the unit I needed on a dolly, ready to help me buy and load them into my truck. My neighbor was gone, but when I asked him about it, he didn't think there was anything weird about the whole thing. I, on the other hand, had an existential crisis, only barely managing holding myself together. Edit. I understand it's in people's nature to be disbelieving me, but it happened exactly like I said it. I'm not going to argue in the comments, so take it as you will. If you're going to fabricate a story, it would have to have lasers and explosions, not a trip to Lowe's to buy a washer and a dryer. Fair. It's kind of boring to go to Lowe's to buy washers and dryers. That is a weird one, though. So they had the exact one that he needed behind him when he bought a gas one by mistake. There's nothing worse than buying the wrong one. Fuck. Ugh. That is a weird story. I won't lie. And apparently my dog has joined me in the bedroom. And she's huffed. Alright. I will read you one short fiction story real quick, and then I think we'll call it there. Because my eyes are going a little cross-eyed. What? So this one. We weren't alone that night. By overall importance, 63. Me and my friend live near the Sorry. My friend and I live near the Appalachian Mountains range in Virginia. My friend is a very outdoorsy man. Well, I don't totally like all the stuff he does, like camping, but one day he still took me camping. My father was around 45 at the time and was pretty well-built man. He was about 6'2" to 6'3" and lifted weights regularly. He had been raised on a farm, so he always been outdoorsy. I go hunting with him a few times, so I knew my way around the woods pretty well. This was supposed to be a hunting trip where we would hunt during the day, then camp at night. After a day of hiking out to the spot, which took about 2 hours, setting up and hunting, we were both ready to fall asleep. My dad likes to whistle when he's falling asleep, and it also helps me fall asleep. Right before I fell asleep, I heard a very strange sound and woke up. My father was still awake, so I asked him what it was. Since he had grown up outdoors, he was always outdoors. He knew how every animal sounded, no matter what calls it was. So he told me what it was. Turns out it was a coyote. After that, I fell asleep, but was shaken awake by my father. I don't know how long I was asleep for. He had a very panicked look on his face and said we needed to get out of there. I was confused until I heard it. It was a blood-curdling scream coming from somewhere beyond the tree line, where we couldn't see. I asked my father if we should help them since they sounded like they needed help, but he ignored my question. I kept asking questions about what it was until he looked at me and whispered, "I'm 45 years on this earth, and I've never heard this noise before." This made me scream since anyone knew what an animal This made me scared because if anyone knew what an animal sounded like, it was him. Eventually, we packed up everything and we went back to packing up the tent. We heard the scream again, but this time much closer. I looked towards the tree line and saw a tall figure, maybe 6'9" or 6'11", staring at us. I guess my father saw it too because he grabbed my arm and just said, "Let's go." I was paralyzed with fear at this point, but eventually snapped out of it. I grabbed my bag and followed my father back to the car. It was about a 5-mile walk back. Throughout the first mile, I kept screaming as we went, and it kept screaming as we went, and it kept getting closer. If we sped up, it sped up. If we slowed down, it slowed down. Around mile 3, I heard another scream, but this time it was different. It sounded louder and more urgent. My dad must have noticed this too because he started jogging. I tried my best to keep up, but my dad was in the peak of shape and I wasn't very fit. My father stopped and it was about a mile to go to catch up breathing. But at this point, I had no energy and didn't think I could make it. Just as I was thinking that, I heard another scream, but this one was way too close. It sounded like it was coming from 10 feet away, and it made my ears ring. It gave me a new boost, and I started sprinting to the car. Eventually, I saw the taillights of the car. My dad had passed me at the moment and opened the passenger door and jumped in. He got in the driver's seat, and before I could even process what happened, he sped off. As I was catching my breath in the car, I heard one final scream. This one so loud it made my ears ring while in the car. My father didn't even look back, he just sped up, and eventually we made it back home. We never told our family about this, and sometimes I ask my father what it was, and to this day, he says he doesn't know. I think I might have mislabeled that one. I'll give you guys another one. Just hold on. I have befriended the monster under my bed, but I can never look at him. Collecting apples. I have been living in my new bungalow for over a year now, and I have a great I've been living in my new bungalow for over a year now, and it's been great finally having my life back on track after my abusive relationship. I've legally changed my name and even moved across the country. The house is beautiful. It's small, but I don't take and the house is beautiful. It's small, but I don't take much space, so it's perfect. The garden has a lovely rose bushes and even a lemon tree. Everything about my new life is good, but I'm not exactly alone, and that's why I'm here writing this. The inside was already finished and decorated. I didn't have much with me, so I just fled in an impulse, so I'm very happy to be with that. Walking into my bedroom, I kept hearing a strange noise. I just assumed it was mice, so I purchased some traps and hoped for the best. But it never stopped. I called animal control and exterminators, but they never found anything, so I just ruled it as an old noisy home. Until one night, I was laying in bed reading a book and I bought from a charity shop, and I heard a scratching noise, and it was coming from under my bed. I put a bookmark inside the book, set it on the bedside table, and began leaning over. "Stop," I said low and deep. "Stop," said a low and deep voice, whispering. I remember leaping back so hard. I wrenched my head against the wall and passed out. I whacked my head against the wall and passed out. The next morning, I woke up and groaned. God, my head was killing me. I really did a number on it. Then I remembered. Shuffling out of my sheets, I jumped up and out of bed and looked under, but there was nothing there. Maybe I imagined it? My day went on normally, and I went job hunting, treating myself to a $6 coffee. I bought some new essentials for the house and then relaxed until bedtime. Night rolled around and I headed to bed. Opening my book, I sighed and opening my book, I sighed in content and shimmered deep into the covers. Then I heard it, the scratching. "Hello?" I said. "Hello, Sarah," a voice responded. Now, when I tell you my heart stopped, I mean it. I couldn't breathe. "Who the fuck are you, and what the fuck are you doing in my house?" I yelled, frozen in bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. "I live here," it responded. "I'm going to call the police." This threat just made it laugh. "They won't find anything," they said. I sat there for a few minutes, trying to recollect myself, and began leaning over to have a look. "Stop," they whispered. "For your own good, I suggest you don't come any closer," he continued. "What's that supposed to mean?" I said. I could feel the sweat trickling down my face. "I don't want to hurt you, so I suggest you don't look." We talked all night, and that's when I learned he only appears on our bed at night, so that explains why I don't see him when I look in the morning. He's not a threat. It's like a spirit that's just trapped and can't leave. He's quite friendly, really. Months have passed, and me and Dark have become best friends. I asked him one night what to call him, and he suggested that name, so I obliged. I hear nothing from him during the day, and then when I hop into bed, he says hello and asks me about my day. He's a good friend, but if I ever bring someone inside, especially a man, he says he would kill them. I can't stay out too late or he'll get lonely and threatens to kill me for leaving him. I made the mistake one night of getting a little too drunk, stumbling into the bed. I heard giggling and getting on my knees. "Hey, Dark," I squealed. "I will regret this decision for the rest of my life." "What are you doing?" Dark asked. "Oh, nothing." I clutched lower, and then when I heard his violent scream, but then I blacked out. I crouched lower, and that's when I heard his violent scream, but then I blacked out. Everything went back to normal after that night. I may have much paler skin and no heartbeat. I may have no job and no life anymore. But I still have dark. Forever and ever. Ugh. Alright. That's the last one for you guys. Sorry, my eyes are going a little cross-eyed. Definitely don't feel like I read that the best. I'm sorry, guys. Thank you everyone for joining me this morning. I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you next Saturday. Yes, next Saturday. Good morning, Cement Shoes. I'm literally just ending the stream right now. So thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and week. I'll see you next Saturday. Take care, guys.